Can you hear me? Okay. Good morning. Good morning. It is a pleasure to welcome all of you to NUFDI's Iran conference today. We are privileged to host you and our distinguished speakers and moderators today, and we are thankful to be gathering in person among so many of our friends and colleagues after 2 years of being apart. Our team has worked on this conference for months to organize today's conference with the aim of exploring Iran and Iran policy from the number of perspectives that are not always featured as prominently here in Washington. Today we have a unique opportunity to hear about the many social and political currents defining Iran, the regime role in the social and political currents defining Iran, and the regime role in the region, how the media covers Iran, what the United States can do about all this, and how the Iranian American community can mobilize to engage on these important issues. NUFDI is focused on mobilizing and engagement of the Iranian American community, a vital community of successful and dedicated individuals. We carry out our mission with some core values and express views of the vast majority of our community in mind. Among those most critical are opposition to appeasement, our opposition to war with Iran, and our support for the third path of supporting human rights and democracy, which guarantees Iran territorial integrity. Many of you have played an important role in NUFDI's growth in the past 2 years. As we relaunched our organization and have worked to become the forum where Iranian Americans engage in Washington, so many of you helped and guided us. I am most thankful for that, and an immense amount of credit of our growth goes to you. I look forward in hearing today from our participants and meeting each of you. I am now pleased to welcome to the stage Mr. Shahpar Razmzan, the chairman of the board of directors. Mr. Razmzan.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Ganji, for your leadership. This conference is an important milestone in our history, and on behalf of the board, several of them are here today, and thank you for being part of it. Our community has long succeeded and endeavored in making this new land our home. And today, we take the next step to engage more actively and more directly in civic sphere. An important part of NUFDI becoming a forum for our community to engage in Iran conversation and host experts and speakers with a wide, diverse range of views. This diversity of point of view and dialogue has for far too long have been absent in our community and our community and our conversation. Needless to say, today's speakers represent wide variety of viewpoints, ones which may often conflict with one another, and one which may not necessarily represent NUFDI's point of view. However, this dialogue is critical to our community's progress. I would be remiss if I don't also mention our generous supporters who make all of NUFDI's work possible. NUFDI's policy is not seeking or accepting money from any government at home or abroad. One means we rely on their generosity and support to grow. I thank each one of you, and in particular, the supporters who made this conference possible. Mr. Semnani and Mr. Kaviani, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of this today, and please enjoy the conference.
Good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure for me to be here alongside my colleagues and with so many friends here in this room, from leaders in government service to Washington's most respected Iran and foreign policy experts to truly dedicated and tireless advocates. Indeed, an unannounced part of today's program will be the unique opportunity to hear from 3 leading activists from inside Iran who have recorded special messages for this conference, which will play throughout the day. We also thank the many members of the Persian language media and the international press who are here covering today's event and who will stream parts of it live into Iran. Working with so many of you over the past 2 years has been a true honor and privilege, and I'm thrilled that so many of us are gathered here today after 2 years of Zoom events and conference calls to finally be in the same room and fight over the last bagel at the breakfast bar. Iran policy to me and to NUFDI represents one area where American values and American interests are uniquely aligned. For us, the breadth and diversity of today's speakers and their viewpoints are an important part of showing just that alignment. Today, on the cusp of important debates here in Washington on the future of American foreign policy, including what America should stand for, where America should intervene, and more importantly, if and how it should do so. There is no perfect answer, and with an area like Iran policy, there's a lot of gray area. But today's gathering of experts and activists can bring us one step closer to establishing a new direction for that Iran policy that set firmly in America's values, guarantees our interests, and supports the cause of freedom of a people crying out for help. Speaking of the future, today is also an opportunity to introduce some new members of our team, including Nina Khoshkish, who will be emceeing today's conference. I now ask you to please silence your cell phones for the remainder of the day, and I will note further as housekeeping that throughout the day we have a very packed schedule, but at the moderator's discretion, we have 2 microphones here at the end of the panel for audience questions, but we are tight, so I will leave that up to the moderators. As I say, we have a packed schedule, so we'll get right to it by welcoming our very first panel this morning to discuss Iran's ongoing economic, social, and environmental crises, moderated by Dr. Michael Rubin, Senior Fellow and a distinguished scholar from the American Enterprise Institute. Welcome.
Thank you so much.